If our members will find their seats, our guests find seats in the gallery. Welcome everyone to the Will County Board recess meeting for May 21st, 2015. We will call this meeting to order. If everyone would please stand. County Board Member Judy Ogala will lead us in the pledge this morning and then introduce the clergy for this morning's invocation. Ms. Ogala.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning. This morning we have Reverend Dr. James Hunt from New Hope Christian Community Church, Moni, Illinois, to give us our morning prayer.
Good morning. Please bow and pray with me. Gracious and eternal God, creator of all things, first of all, we give thanks for your infinite grace and mercy that has allowed us to gather here today in your holy and divine presence. We want to take this moment to pray for the leaders of this body. Strengthen the hand of the assembled representatives of Will County so that they can do a mighty work. Keep them mindful of the great responsibility that you have given them as stewards of this great county. Bless them with a servant's heart that they may serve with passion and compassion. We pray, O Lord, that they will keep you in mind as they map out the future of Will County. Because many are the plans of the mind of a man, but it is the purpose of the Lord that will stand. And so, Lord, let them commit their work to you, that their plans will be established. Now, dear God, as they face the many daunting and challenging issues before them, let them know that nothing is too hard for you. So grant these members the wisdom to reason together and the perseverance to go the second mile with each other, so that the impossible may become possible. Help them in all manners to do good, to seek justice, to correct oppression, to bring justice to the fatherless, and plead the widow's cause. Now, O Lord, we ask that you look with favor on every citizen of Will County. We ask that you pour out your favor on all those involved in this great work for your glory. Encourage their hearts, inspire their minds, and stir up the gifts in each of them that will enable them to accomplish the great work together. We pray especially that your word will help us to become, in the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., members of a beloved community, loving our neighbors as ourselves, so that all of us may more closely come to fulfill the promise of being one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now unto him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly over all that we ever ask or could think, we ask all these things. Amen.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Sure. Mayor? Brooks? Howard? Ogala? Singer? Moran? Rice? Harris? Trainier? Benefield? Fritz? Freitag? Gould? Balich? Frizzalone? Winfrey? Parker? Staley Ferry? Babbage? Wilhelmie? Hart? Tumanello? Weigel? Collins? Ferry? And Mustis. Thank you.
26 present.
26 present, we have a quorum present. Motion to place on file certificate of publication, moved by Mr. Babbage, second by Mr. Wilhelmie. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Sure. Mayor? Brooks? Howard? Ogala? Singer? Moran? Rice? Harris? Trainier? Benefield? Fritz? Freitag? Gould? Balich? Frizzalone? Winfrey? Parker? Staley Ferry? Babbage? Wilhelmie? Hart? Tumanello? Weigel? Collins? Ferry? And Mustis. Thank you.
26 affirmative.
26 affirmative, motion is carried. Motion to approve minutes of the Will County Board recess meeting of April 16, 2015. Moved by Mr. Wilhelmie, second by Mr. Howard. Any questions? Previous roll call by Ms. Trainier, second by Mr. Ferry. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion has carried. Madam Clerk, would you please acknowledge our elected officials and the media that are present this morning?
Sure. Circuit Clerk Pam McGuire, County Clerk Nancy Schultz-Boots, our County Executive Larry Walsh, Sheriff Mike Kelly, and Mr. Glasgow is unable to appear today at the meeting because he's in appearance in front of the appellate court regarding the Peterson case. And I also want to mention that we have our Mayor Roger Clare from the Village of Bolingbrook, and I also noticed that in the audience we have our former county board member, Walter Adamick. Welcome. Welcome. In press, we have Farmers Weekly Review, Nick Ryer, Southtown, Susan Lafferty, Herald News, Lauren Leon Cross, and with WJOL, Monica DeSantis. Welcome.
Okay, moving on to honorary resolutions, proclamations. You have County Board Member Darren Benefield and our Circuit Judge Susan O'Leary. Is Susan here? Okay, good, great. They have a proclamation recognizing Security Officer Peter Facilides.
Morning, Judge.
That's okay, you're doing great.
Morning, Judge. I didn't see you out there.
You're doing great, Judge.
Pete and Sheriff Mike Kelly coming down as well. Good morning, fellow board members. Here we go. Squeeze in. I've got some doing this. You know, it's with great privilege and honor that I've been asked to do this today. As chair of the Judicial Committee, I really enjoy having an opportunity to give this presentation to Mr. Peter Vasiliadis. I'm sorry, it's Pete, not Peter. Pete Vasiliadis. You know, at a time when, you know, you hear in the news about the difficulties with that the police departments are having. And many of us in this room know how great and how difficult of a job these guys do. And I'm in constant awe as I look back and watch the challenges that these folks face on a daily basis and the decisions that they have to make. And today I've been given an opportunity to honor one of these individuals for heroic efforts. And so I just wanted to take a moment just to read a letter that Judge Susan O'Leary has presented to the board, or to Sheriff Mike Kelly. And these are Susan's words. Dear Sheriff Kelly, on Friday, March 6th, a female in her 40s experienced a serious medical emergency and became unconscious while in court. Fortunately, Will County Court Security Officer Pete Vasiliadis promptly responded and administered CPR to her until the paramedics arrived. Officer Vasiliadis took charge of the situation and was competent, calm, and professional. His training was up to date, having just completed CPR training 1 month earlier. But for his efforts, she might not have survived this serious medical event. Will County is fortunate to have such a dedicated, trained deputy who was able to respond effectively to a life-threatening medical emergency. He is a credit to the department and a hero. He should be commended for his professionalism and dedication. Sincerely, Susan T. O'Leary. So, it gives me great honor to present to Mr. Pete Vasiliadis. Pete, here's a certificate of appreciation for your heroic efforts during a medical emergency at the Will County Courthouse. We're very proud of you and thank you very much.
Pete, this does not surprise me. I've known Pete for at least 15, 25 years. Time flies by. And knowing his integrity, I've known the man personally. My family and his family have spent many time together, knowing the responsibility that he puts on himself, just for being a father to his daughters, does not surprise me one bit on his efforts that day in the courthouse. So that being said, he is very deserving of this award, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Yay.
That's okay.
Next year. Oh, let me just say this. We have an award ceremony tonight, and I know a lot of you guys, we sent out invitations. Pete will be put in next year, because it happens in the year 15, for a life-saving award with the department, which I'm pretty positive he'll get as well. Didn't, because it happened in 15, the award ceremony tonight's for 14, so just look forward to that too. Thanks.
Thank you, Sheriff. Moving on, all resolutions from the April 16, 2015 County Board agenda have been signed by the county executive. Moving on to our first committee, Land Use and Development Committee. Mr. Weigel, Chairman.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Tom.
First item is the public hearing. I make a motion to open the public hearing for all land use cases.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Ms. Ogala. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Sure. Mayor? Brooks? Howard? Ogala? Singer? Moran? Rice? Harris? Trainier? Benefield? Fritz? Freitag? Gould? Balich? Frizzalone? Winfrey? Parker? Staley Ferry? Babbage? Wilhelmie? Hart? Tumanello? Weigel?
Yes.
Collins? Ferry? And Mustis. Thank you.
26 affirmative.
26 affirmative, we are in public hearing. Please be advised, absolutely no new evidence or information will be allowed once this land use public hearing is closed. Today, we have 3 cases before us. Case 6219-V, case 6226-MV, and case 6227-SV2. So we have some people that have signed up to speak. First one is Mr. Mike Martin. Mike, do you want to be first? You want to be first or after everybody else has made their comments?
Probably after everybody else, but I understand there might be a motion to table it.
Oh, I did not know that.
That would be after the public hearing. So.
Yeah.
I will respond after.
Okay. Then next Honorable Roger Clare, Mayor Clare, would you like to come forward?
Yes. I realize you can't see perhaps the map below, but there's a copy of it in front of each one of you, so that's why I sent it. First of all, good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning. Bolingbrook, in the north end of Will County, is basically the front door of Will County. People coming from the city to do business throughout Will County and further places southwest all drive through Bolingbrook, and quite honestly, some of them probably form an opinion of what Will County looks like. Recently, we had a piece of property, and it's the property labeled under construction scheduled for 2018. That's right next to I-55. That property was cleared of a bunch of shrubbery that's grown up over the years. After it was cleared, we're appalled to see a junkyard. There's no other name for it. You've seen the pictures. They were sent to you, I believe, twice. Some of them are up here. They're not operable trucks. I know the questions come up. What about the trucks surrounding this place? They're all operable. They're all business related and being used. If you look to the map for a moment, you'll see the piece of property where it's going to be under construction in 2015. That has also been a problem for Bolingbrook and a bit of a junk pile. The property in 2018 will start then, which leaves a junkyard in the middle of a several thousand acre business park. We have built along I-55 north and south over 32 million square foot of industrial, manufacturing, and office buildings. And I think that's been very good for Will County. It's helped raise taxes for Will County government, as well as Will County Forest Service, and certainly the schools, parks, libraries, and so on. Virtually every piece of land in Bolingbrook is under contract or will soon be under construction. The exception being the property in question. And you can imagine one of the reasons those properties have been hard to develop is because of the appearance. Who wants to buy a piece of property with a junk pile next to it? It's hard to lease a building in those circumstances. I did meet with Mr. James, the owner. We asked him to clean it up. He said, no, I'm a gearhead. And I said, what about your son at some point may inherit it? Well, he's a gearhead too. Do you think these are gearhead materials? If it was filled full of 57 Chevys or old Mustangs, I might accept that, but not rusted out semi-trailers that aren't operable. This court order was issued last fall to clean this property up. It hasn't been. I know there's some suggestions that property rights. There's no question property rights are something I value also. But what about the properties surround the property? It's a 3-acre parcel in a business park of hundreds of acres. We asked him to clean up, he refused. And instead he came to you for special use so he could get outdoor storage. Now I understand the staff has said that should be cleaned up. But the reality is, do you have time to police it? Do you have the staff time to make sure it's cleaned up? And once it's cleaned up, if you were a business person looking to invest millions of dollars into an industrial warehouse or manufacturing facility, would you want to look out your window at an outdoor storage yard of 3 acres? I don't think so. We have a developer with us today. He's signed up to speak next, Mr. County Executive, to talk about this. And the other motion, I'm told, is this may be tabled. With all due respect, that's simply kicking the can down the road. He's had months to clean this up, has refused to do so, extending it by 2 months and allowing a pole building to build. Would you want a pole building next to your multi-million-dollar investment? I don't think so. So I would ask you to vote against the motion to table and vote against a special use permit for this property.
It's a plan that Bolingbrook's had for years. Again, I-55 looks pretty impressive. I hear comments all the time about the tax base it's generated, and this will harm that tax base. Mr. Love, we keep bringing him down now. Is he okay? He's next on the list. Can we bring him down?
You finished with your,
I think so, yeah.
all right, I don't want two of you there, but, thank you. Any questions for the mayor? Anybody? Any questions?
Yes, any questions?
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next on our list is Mr. Jimmy Love. Okay,
Good morning.
good morning.
Thank you for having me. I'm Jimmy Love. I have a firm called Distribution Realty Group. We're under construction in Bolingbrook currently on 2 facilities. We are strongly contemplating and have a signed letter of intent for the adjacent piece of property here. I'm going to keep my comments brief. One of the reasons that Bolingbrook is such an attractive place for developers to go out in the world and bring institutional capital to Illinois and Will County is because it's a beautiful industrial park. I know that sounds like a little bit of an oxymoron, but Mayor Claire has done a phenomenal job of upholding very high standards for glass, fountains, and landscaping. So at some point, I hope it's going to be my privilege to attract a tenant to come add to the tax base in the building next door. And I think that upholding the standards that Bolingbrook and Will County have set forth for a beautiful place would be in the best interest of everyone.
Thank you. Any questions? Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Love.
Thank you.
Squeeze in just one more comment. Remember, all the trucks around the site are operable except his. That's the difference between truck storage. They're used or by our manufacturing facilities.
Mr. Weigel,
A
comment?
question for the mayor. Can you condemn this property or not? Or do you?
Well, we tried to go through the normal process of calling code enforcement, data cleaned up. Code enforcement of the county went after it, and of course, it finally went to court because they delayed and delayed and delayed, as they're trying to do today. And they, still haven't cleaned it up. Could we condemn it? Perhaps, but that's a terrible use of taxpayers' money, in my opinion. Quite honestly, I think Mr. James wants to leave it that way, and eventually it'll be cleaned up by a prospective buyer because he's got the only piece left down there. Everything else is sold around him. So, again, we'd like to see the area around it. His property look as good as the other. It's currently zoned industrial. Why give him a special use to store material outside, which is forever?
Thank you. Okay, next we have Nicole Knapp, I believe it is. Oh, okay. And then we have Matt Eastman. Okay, okay. Well, then back, Mr. Martin, would you like to be the last one to speak?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Mike Martin. I'm an attorney for the applicant. My office is at 15 West Jefferson, Joliet, Illinois. Mr. James bought this property in 1979. It was zoned I-2 in 1979. Outdoor storage was a permitted use on the property. The actual use of it, it complied with the zoning ordinance. It was originally designed to be purchased by the DuPage County, or Township, pardon me, Highway Department. That transaction fell through. The adjoining properties, which are now the truck depots that are not screened, were developed around 1985 with truck uses and outdoor contractors' yards. Mr. James in 1989, who owned Ed James Chevrolet out of Bolingbrook, began storing in trailers auto parts for his antique car collection. There are a lot of auto parts in the trailers. There are no cabs or semis in front of them, so the trailers can be hitched to a semi, but they're not licensed. And that was one of the conditions of the county staff, that they all become licensed. We have agreed to all of the conditions. I believe Nicole Mapp probably said it best at PZC. The frontage road, which accesses this property, only accesses the truck depot next to us, which is not screened, accesses our property, and accesses the farmhouse that we know that's next to us. I believe Bolingbrook wants to vacate that frontage road. They previously tried to force annex the property. They cannot condemn it or force annex it because they have to bring it into their jurisdiction. They failed at forced annexation because the Northern Illinois Gas Pipeline opposed it also. So this has been something that I know they're designing their plans, but this is my client's property. He's used it in this fashion since 1989. And when Mr. Clare came out and complained to my client in 2013, we immediately, following that, put slats in the fence to better screen the property at some expense. We also cleaned up the debris piles that were on the property. There are less vehicles on the property and less trailers than there were at the time that Mr. Clare came out. And then the county staff filed an enforcement action. We felt that we were grandfathered under the ordinance. We didn't win that position, and the judge said, come into compliance. So we're here trying to seek a way to come into compliance. The special use permit and the use is certainly consistent with the uses in the area. We're willing to take steps, as it's been suggested to me, to see if we can come into compliance before you vote on the matter. By either constructing a pole barn or start taking steps to license the vehicles, show that they're operable before you actually vote on the matter, and have county staff work with that. We're trying to do what we need to do for property that we've owned since 1979, and to come into compliance with what the county requires. Regarding the variances, when we put up the fence in 1989, a 6-foot fence was required under the ordinance, and the property has always only had 60 feet of frontage. So that's, an existing fact. It's not a hardship created by the property owner. We would ask for your support. We do support the motion to continue. I've talked with Mr. James. We're willing to do either one of those two avenues after we meet with staff, so we'll meet with them next week. And I guess, are there any questions I can answer?
Any questions, Mr. Mustis?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. Is there any ongoing business on this property? I mean, it's an industrial zone property, but it's currently not an active. Is it currently an active business? Is it?
It's outdoor storage for his personal. There is no business on the
I mean,
property.
I am going to have some questions of staff, sir, so you know, but I'll wait till we come out of session, and whether just storing things without any related business is actually part of our zoning ordinance. But I'll ask it, so you know I'm going to ask that question. Is there any sanitary facilities on this property?
No. No,
So
there's no public that.
There's no bathrooms, there's no running water, there's no.
No.
It's just a piece of land where things are stored.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, all right, that's it.
Okay.
Ms. Trenier?
I had a question. It was mentioned that if a special use permit was granted, that it would continue on indefinitely. Would the owner have any issue if we granted his special use with the condition only for the lifetime of him as the owner?
I've just had that question asked me, so I haven't talked to him about that. But under your ordinance, it does run with the title to the property.
Mr. Howard?
Okay, you did agree, though, the owner did agree to make all the vehicles operable at that
Yes.
point in time.
Yeah, and if not, then they have to be removed, and the trailers would all have to be licensed, or they have to be removed.
And they would be operable, so that you'd move them back and forth for testing and that kind of stuff.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Ogala?
So the owner has, just clarify for me, the owner has been working with our staff for how long to get to the point that we're at today?
Since about October of 2013.
So he's been working with our land use staff to get to this point so that he can become compliant?
Yeah, we had a disagreement about what we had to do And we went through the court system, and, you know, not, when the court system said we had to do this, then we filed the application for the special use permit.
Okay.
Mr. Weigel?
I was suggested maybe that you could put up a pool building and get rid of the trailers. Is that something that you'll investigate?
Yes, I talked to Mr. James about that proposition, and he said definitely. And a concrete floor, because there was concern about like battery acid or oil or gas with curbing. So we will go to land use and see what those specifications would be if we erected a pole barn. And then maybe, you know, if we come back in 2 months, maybe we can have an application in for a building permit or something to, you know, try and satisfy, because we won't have a pole barn up in that time.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Ms. Ogala?
Sorry.
Here's a gavel, here's a gavel, Mike.
I don't want the job.
As far as where this property is, and then there's a farmhouse next door, does somebody live in that farmhouse?
We
next
have
door?
some tenants in the farmhouse.
You have
We own the farmhouse, yeah.
So then the frontage road goes to that property?
Yeah, it dead ends. There's actually concrete barriers across the frontage road that block any traffic from proceeding further east along the frontage road, past the farmhouse.
Okay.
Mr. Moran?
I guess I'm going to ask our staff when we come out of public hearing, whether or not a pole building would still be required to have a special use as outdoor storage, I guess. Because if it's a separate kind of zoning, then I think we could maybe dispose of this case and move on to a new case if we want to put a building up there. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Martin? Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone from the public wishes to speak on any of these three cases? Case 6219, case 6226, or case 2227? Any other member of the public wishing to speak?
Motion to come out of public hearing.
One more time. Anyone wishing to speak? Mr. Weigel?
Motion to come out of the public hearing?
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Brooks. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Sure. Mayor? Brooks?
Yes.
Howard? Ogala? Singer? Moran? Rice? Harris? Trainier? Benefield? Fritz?
Madam
Fritz?
Brooks?
Thank you. Freitag? Gould? Balich? Frizzalone? Winfrey? Parker? Staley Ferry? Babich? Wilhelmie? Hart? Tumanello? Weigel? Collins? Ferry? And Mustis. Thank you.
26 affirmative.
26 affirmative, public hearing has been closed. Continue, Mr. Weigel.
Our first zoning case is case 6219-V. They're requesting a variance for a wireless telecommunication facility, a height variance from 200 feet to 250 feet. Our present ordinance only allows for 200 feet. This is in Manhattan Township. Committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Mayor. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll call may moved by Ms. Parker, second by Ms. Trainier. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Second case is 6226MV. This is a map amendment from A1 to R1 in Plainfield Township. Committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Balich. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Babbage, second by Mr. Howard. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Next case is 6227-SV2. This is a request for outdoor storage, which was discussed in the public hearing. Committee recommended denial, but the discussion, our caucus, was to table this. I don't know if there would be any discussion before I make the motion.
No discussion on the motion.
I didn't make the motion yet.
Yeah, well,
Mr.
the issue is if you're gonna make a motion to table, then there's no discussion after that. If
I'll
so,
make a motion to put it on the floor.
Okay, make a motion. Wait a minute, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor, may I run the meeting? Mr. Weigel, make a motion to approve,
Okay, make a motion to approve.
and second? Seconded by Mr. Mustis. Now, discussion.
Any discussion?
Okay. Motion to table by Mr. Singer. Second. What? Got a motion? Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Ms. Ogala. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Mayor? Brooks? Howard? Ogala?
Yes.
Singer? Moran? No. Rice? No. Harris? No. Trainier?
Yes.
Benefield? Yes. Fritz?
Yes.
Freitag?
No.
Gould? No. Balich?
Yes.
Frizzalone?
Yes.
Winfrey?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Staley Ferry? Babbage? No. Wilhelmie? No. Hart? No. Tumanello?
Yes.
Weigel?
Yes.
Collins? Ferry?
No.
And Mustis?
Yes.
Seventeen affirmative, 9 negative.
17 affirmative. The motion has carried to table.
Our first resolution is a variance for the same case. I would make a motion to table.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Singer. Previous roll call. Second by Mr. Singer. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Next resolution, 15-123.
No, you want, the previous roll call gives you the same 17 to 9.
Okay, okay, fine.
Okay, that's what you meant, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, what Don wanted, so 17 to 9 was the vote.
Okay.
Mr. Weigel?
The next resolution, 15-123, is also a variance for that same case. I make a motion to table.
Moved by Mr. Weigel to table, second by Ms. Fritz. Any questions? Previous roll call by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Tumanello. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Our next resolution is 15-124, is an authorized major waiver of Section 2204A of the subdivision ordinance in Manhattan Township. This is for the cell tower that we previously approved to allow no access directly to this particular lot for the cell tower. The committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Mayor. Any discussion? Any discussion? Call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Sure. Mayor? Yes. Brooks? Yes. Howard? Yes. Ogala? Yes. Singer? Yes. Moran? Yes. Rice? Yes. Harris? Yes. Trainier? Yes. Benefield? Yes. Fritz? Yes. Freitag? Yes. Gould? Yes. Balich? Yes. Frizzalone?
Yes.
Winfrey?
Yes.
Parker? Yes. Staley Ferry? Babbage? Wilhelmie? Hart? Tumanello? Weigel?
Yes.
Collins? Ferry? And Mustis? Thank you.
26 affirmative.
26 affirmative, motion has carried.
That concludes my report. Our next meeting is June 9th. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Moving on to Finance Committee, Mr. Frizzalone, Chairman.
Thank you. Morning, Will County. We have some reports to put on file, and we're going to be doing these as groups from now on. So we have 3 reports. The first report is from the Illinois Department of Revenue, showing our sales tax remitted to Will County for the month of February 2015 to be $1,297,772.88. And the RTA tax received is $1,618,218.08, for a total of $2,915,990.96. Second report is the Will County Monthly Treasurer Report, dated March 31st, 2015. And our third report is the Will County Circuit Clerk Annual Financial Report for fiscal year ended November 30, 2014. And I'd like to move to put all of these on file.
Moved by Mr. Frizzalone, second by Mr. Balich. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Thank you. First resolution up here is 15-125, amending Resolution 15-01 to reflect the approved budget revision for Adult Redeploy Illinois grant funds in the state's attorney's drug court budget, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frizzalone, second by Ms. Freitag. Any discussion? Previous roll by Mr. Babbage, second by Mr. Wilhelmie. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 15-126, the appropriation of patient-centered medical home grant funds into the Health Department budget, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frizzalone, second by Mr. Benefield. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Rice, second by Mr. Howard. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Next up is 15-127, amending the 2015 budget to reflect debt service for general obligation refunding bond, Series 2015A, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frizzalone, seconded by Mr. Ferry. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Balich, second by Ms. Collins. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary is carried.
15-128, transfer appropriations for miscellaneous expenses in the Capital 304 Fund, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frizzalone, second by Ms. Trenier. Any discussion? Previous roll by Ms. Gould, second by Ms. Freitag. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
15-129, amending the Department of Transportation budget for 2 DCEO grants, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frizzalone, second by Ms. Rice. Any question? Previous roll call by Ms. Staley Ferry, second by Mr. Harris. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
15-130 is authorizing the county executive to execute necessary documents for delinquent tax program, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frizzalone, second by Mr. Ferry. Any questions? Previous roll call by Mr. Tumanello, second by Mr. Babbage. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
And last up is 15-131, transferring and increasing appropriations in various county budgets to fund year-end shortfalls, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frizzalone, second by Ms. Collins. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Ogala, second by Mr. Balich. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Thank you, and that concludes my report, and our next Finance Committee meeting is June 2nd at 10 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Next, we move on, Public Works Transportation Committee. Mr. Gould, Chairman.
Good morning, Mr. Executive,
Morning, Don.
fellow board members. I would like to place on file a public notice for proposed issuance of a federally enforceable state operating permit for Prairie Creek Grain Company in Elwood. And I would also like to place on file a public notice for renewal of the federally enforceable state operating permit for Exelon Generation Company in Braceville.
So moved.
So moved.
So moved, second by Ms. Freitag. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
First, I have resolution, God bless you. First, I have resolution 15-132, confirming award of contract to Superior Road Striping, led on April 22nd, 2015, countywide reflector replacement, all county board districts, and I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Tumanello. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Benefield, seconded by Ms. Trenier. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
15133, a resolution for improvement of county under Illinois Highway Code for countywide reflector replacement. All county board districts using motor fuel tax funds, $100,000. Move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any discussion? Previous roll by Mr. Howard, second by Mr. Wilhelmie. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
15134, confirming award of contract to PT Farrow Construction Company, led on April 22nd, 2015, Schoolhouse Road, County Board District 12. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Tumanello. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Babbage, second by Mr. Harris. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
15135, a resolution for improvement by county under the Illinois Highway Code for Schoolhouse Road, County Board District 12, motor fuel tax funds, $375,000. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Tumanello. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Ferry, second by Ms. Winfrey. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
15136, confirming award of contract to Deconstruction, led on April 22nd, 2015, Hassard Boulevard, County Board District 11. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Trenier. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Parker, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
15137, resolution for improvement by the county under the Illinois Highway Code for Hassard Boulevard, County Board District 11, using motor fuel tax funds, $525,000, and I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Rice. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Parker, second by Ms. Collins. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
15138, confirming an award of contract to Deconstruction, led on April 22nd, 2015, Frankfurt Road District, Ironwood Drive, County Board District 2. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Balich. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Parker, second by Mr. Ferry. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
15139, confirming an award of contract to Deconstruction, led on April 22nd, 2015, Green Garden Road District, Pauling Road, County Board District 2. And I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Benefield. Any questions? Previous roll call by Mr. Babbage, second by Ms. Ogala. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
15140, confirming an award of contract to Gray's Material Service, led on April 22nd, 2015, Green Garden Road District Seal Coat, County Board District 2, and I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Freitag. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Winfrey, second by Mr. Brooks. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
15141, confirming an award of contract to Tri-State Asphalt, led on April 22nd, 2015, Peatone Road District, County Board District 1. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Fritz. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Howard, second by Ms. Winfrey. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
15142, confirming an award of contract to Tri-State Asphalt, led on April 22nd, 2015, Washington Road District, County Board District 1. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Ogala. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Howard, second by Mr. Moran. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
15143, confirming an award of contract to Tri-State Asphalt, led on April 22nd, Will Road District, County Board District 1. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Howard. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Ogala, second by Ms. Fritz. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
15144, confirming an award of contract to Prairie Materials, led on April 22nd, 2015, Washington Road District Aggregate, County Board District 1. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Howard. Any questions? Previous roll call by Ms. Ogala, second by Mr. Benefield. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
15145, confirming an award of contract to Prairie Material, led on April 22nd, 2015, Will Road District Aggregate, County Board District 1. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Ogala. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Moran and second by Mr. Howard. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
15146, confirming an award of contract to Austin Tyler Construction, led on April 29th, 2015, Renwick Road at Gaylord Road, County Board Districts 9 and 13. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Freitag. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Babbage, second by Mr. Ferry. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
15147, confirming an award of contract to Iroquois Paving Corporation, led on April 29th, 2015. Washington Road District Overlay, County Board District 1. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Howard. Any questions? Previous roll call by Ms. Hart, second by Ms. Ogala. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
15148, an ordinance authorizing approval of establishment of altered speed zone, Zone 522, County Board District 1, Crete Road District. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Howard. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Rainier, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
15149, an ordinance authorizing approval of the establishment of an altered speed zone, Zone 523 through Zone 533, County Board District 12, New Lenox Road District. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Weigel. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Staley Ferry, and seconded by Mr. Wilhelming. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
15150, authorizing approval of professional services agreement for engineering services Phase 2 with Hutchison Engineering on Mills Road at intersection of South Briggs Street, County Board District 8. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Brooks, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
15151, providing title commitment reports for use by the county from Wheatland Title Guarantee Company for Mills Road at its intersection with South Briggs Street, County Board District 8, using county's allotment of county RTA funds. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Previous motion, previous roll call by Mr. Wilhelmie, second by Mr. Babbage. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
15152, authorizing an approval of professional services agreement for design engineering services with Collins Engineering for structure and appurtenant work on Will Road over the Kankakee River, County Board District 6. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Freitag. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Parker, second by Ms. Trainier. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
15153, authorizing the approval of MFT funds for design engineering services by the county under the Illinois Highway Code for structure and appurtenant work on Will Road over the Kankakee River, County Board District 6. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Freitag. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Harris, second by Mr. Howard. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
Our next meeting is June 2nd at 9 o'clock, and that concludes my report. Thank you
Very
for your
fine
patience.
Next, we move on to Judicial Committee. Mr. Benefield, Chairman.
Good morning, Mr. Executive
Good
and
morning,
fellow board
Darren.
members. We just have one item before the Judicial Committee this month, and so it's item 15-154, ordinance enabling the enforcement of all traffic regulations in the area controlled by Lakewood Falls Community Association, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Benefield, second by Judy Ogala. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Balich, second by Mr. Gould. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
That concludes our long agenda for the day, and our next meeting scheduled for June 2nd, 9 a.m. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Darren. Moving on to Public Health and Safety Committee, Ms. Ogala, Chairperson.
Good morning, Mr. Executive
Morning,
and fellow
Judy.
board members. This morning, I have just a very short agenda as well. I have to place on record on our files the Will County Regional Office of Education, our quarterly report from January through March of this year. It's submitted by our Regional Superintendent of Schools, Sean Walsh. And with that, it's interesting to learn some of these other things that are listed in there. Some people may not look, but we do get a list of all the school visits and the business meetings that occurred during this quarter. In addition to that, we were given information about our Regional Safe School Program, our Alternative Learning Opportunities Program, and our Truant's Alternative and Optimal Education Program. The importance of these programs is that for our students who are through 6th through 12th grades, is so that they have the necessary supports available to them so they can succeed and get a high school graduation. That is very important for everybody in Will County, because if our students succeed, we all succeed. And so I'd like to make a motion to to file that report.
Moved by Ms. Ogala, second by Mr. Frizzalone. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
In addition to that, I just want to mention that last week at Sunny Hill, we had the National Nursing Home Week, and a lot of different board members and other elected officials were able to attend, and they helped serve ice cream, and it's really a fun time because they have different days. They have Mexican Day, Chinese Day, so they have different activities and foods specific to that ethnic origin for our residents at Sunny Hill, and everybody seems to enjoy that, so I think it's great that we do provide that for our residents. That does conclude my report, and my next meeting is scheduled for June 4th at 9 a.m.
Thank you, Judy. Next, we have the Legislative and Policy Committee, Ms. Hart, Chairperson.
Good morning.
Good morning, Suzanne.
Okay, so I could safely say, not safely, they have not been signed. We've had a very good run in Springfield with a couple of the bills, our initiatives on our agenda that has gone through. And I will be able to, hopefully, next month, be able to list these complete. But what I would like to do is to bring Dean up on a very special bill that his department has worked on, and it was amazing with the electronic recycling. And I don't know if everyone here in the room understands the amount of work that you and your department and everyone at Meyer has done. I mean, you changed the way the state of Illinois is going to be doing electronic recycling things, so please explain.
Well, thanks. I'll try to keep it short. I know
Yes,
it's, but it did start last fall in the Legislative Committee, and your support and everyone's support here, passing the resolutions, getting the message down to Springfield made a huge difference. We were able to line up some sponsors right away, have a subject matter hearing, and then meet with the manufacturers. The manufacturers are the ones that pay for our recycling of our residential electronics. So as you can see, if they don't want to pay more, it's kind of hard for us to keep our program going. And some other programs were closing, such as DuPage County. Theirs went belly up last fall. Lake County is now paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for their program. But this basically fixed it for at least 2 years. So through 2017, we have to do a long-term fix. And we could not do that until 2016 because the law said that's basically what we have to wait till, and then have this new formula. So this new formula ensures we have enough weight, which equates to more funds, which equates to hopefully us still not paying for that recycling of electronics, saving our taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars. So yes, it was very great. And it passed both houses. I think the Senate on Tuesday. Brent Hassert was in there in the trenches with us the whole way. So, you know, it was just great. We had a lot of really good support. So I really appreciate it.
Well, Dean, also, so people know the amount of conference calls, meetings, and everything. You came with a vision of a concern in the fall. You got in front of it before it did happen of like Lake County or DuPage, and then you went and we helped the state. We helped the state. It definitely took a village, so that was wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, nobody maybe noticed it was a crisis yet, but yeah, we have to really say what it is, because we would have been paying next year a lot. So,
Ms. Rice, comment?
Dean, I just want to congratulate you on being proactive, and I know I want to thank you that every time I wanted to talk to someone about this and requested something from you, you got me all the information and more, and I really appreciate, and I'm thankful for the outcome, at least for the next 2 years.
Thanks, really appreciate it.
Mr. Howard.
That's right, we'll keep fighting.
Just a quick comment for Dean. Dean doesn't waste any time when there's a problem, so I mean, he gets right to it, so thanks again,
Thanks.
Dean.
Thanks a lot. No, I don't waste, that's right.
Thank you.
No, no waste.
Thank you, Dean.
All right, thanks.
Thank you for your hard work and commitment, Dean. That's really...
And just so everyone knows, Representative Emily McCasey carried it in the House, and Senator Linda Holmes had carried it through the Senate. And all of our Will County legislators on both sides of the aisle had jumped on, as well as being co-sponsors. So it was, we'll have a little bit more discussion after this gets signed over by the governor. Our next legislative meeting will be on June 9th, 9 a.m. And
Thank you.
hopefully we have more good to
Thank
announce.
you. Thank you for your leadership, Suzanne, on that. So, next we go to the Capital Improvements Committee. Ms. Freitag, Chairperson.
Good morning, Mr. Executive.
morning,
Good morning,
Reagan.
board members. We have one resolution, 15-155, awarding contract for facility remodeling at the court annex for the state's attorney's office. I so move.
Moved by Ms. Freitag, second by Mr. Moran. Any questions? Do you have a question, Mr. Moran? Huh? Yes, sir. Okay.
I'd just like to ask that if it's possible, if we could get a list of the subcontractors when they're finally decided. I understand or not, they haven't made a final decision yet on who the subcontractors are.
Okay.
I believe that request was made in committee, and I think staff is working on getting that for you done.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Somebody made a move, Mr. Gould, move for previous roll call, second by Mr. Mayor. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Just a reminder that tonight we are hosting our fundraiser to raise money for the Will County Board's team for Relay for Life. It's going to be at Fritz Poorhouse on Plainfield Road from 5 to 7. We'll be bartending, serving food, cleaning up, whatever any of you can do to help us raise money. 25% of the food that is ordered is going to be contributed to our fund. So please come out if you can help, or get your friends out. And if you can't attend, or if someone wanted to attend, they can make a donation to the Will County Board office. We are taking donations there. I just want to give a shout, well, it's an anonymous donor, but yesterday I received a $500 sponsor donation towards our fundraising efforts. So if that person can give $500, we can each give $1 at least. Thank you. Our next Capital Improvements Committee meeting is scheduled for June 2nd at 11 a.m.
Thank you. Next, we move on to the Executive Committee. Mr. Mustis, Chairman.
Good morning, Mr. Executive,
Morning,
County
Jim.
Board. First item today would be a public hearing regarding the extension of the temporary overnight truck permits on Manhattan Arsenal Road near intermodal facilities. I'll move to go into public hearing.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Frizzalone. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Sure. Mayor?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Howard? Ogalla? Singer? Moran? Rice? Harris? Trainier?
Buck.
Benefield? Fritz? Freitag?
Yes.
Gould? Balich? Frizzalone? Winfrey? Parker? Staley Ferry? Babich? Wilhelmie? Hart? Tumanello? Weigel? Collins? Ferry? And Mustis. Thank you.
26 affirmative.
26 affirmative. We are in public hearing. We do have a number of speakers that have already signed up. So our first speaker is Mr. Rick McCard, I think it is. Mr. Rick McCard.
Good morning. Rick Pickard with Loop Paper Recycling, and trying to impress the importance of Arsenal Road or resolution for the Walter Strawn being reopened, but you know, it limits trucks, the number of trucks being on. And then it also, puts to the bottom line of our businesses of what we do. And the next concern I have, if we do extend it 60 days, what's going to happen after the 60 days? And, the permits currently expire the 23rd, but we paid for a month. Do we get the next 7 days or the time for the month period extended? Those are my questions with this.
Permits,
For Arsenal Road.
the issue. Mr. Gould? Bruce, this gentleman has a legitimate question in regards to the permitting, the permits that they already have bought for the month, is that correct?
Correct.
That will it continue through this month, or is it going to start a new process of permitting on the day that we sign this document, ordinance?
I discussed that exact question with Ms. Tatro this morning. What we will do is, if the ordinance is extended for the 60 days, whenever the start of a permit was, and if, let's say it was a month, then we'll honor that through
Okay.
the length of the month.
Okay.
So we'll have to go in and just get it.
Well, you wouldn't have to get it extended, because that permit would be in force. But we would have to look at all the permits that were within that time period.
Okay.
Okay?
And then after the 60 days, it's just the communication of what is behind the scenes happening, so we as business owners and managers can, plan accordingly too. That's where, after the 60 days, we're gonna be back here discussing this again, or,
I hope not.
a permanent solution is what we're looking
We're in
for.
conversation, and I don't want to say a whole lot
Correct.
at the moment, but
We-
we're in conversation with the state of Illinois, and we're looking at some options. And that,
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
we are continuing discussion, and as Mr. Gould said, we hope we have a solution before the end of this 60 days, but if we don't, then we'll address it again.
Okay.
So.
That's it.
Ms. Freitag, you had a point, comment?
We definitely appreciate you coming here and speaking to us, and I'd encourage you, just as we are communicating with other entities, that you go to the state, you go to IDOT, you go to the city of Joliet, the city of Elwood as well, because there's other entities that are involved in this whole
Correct.
process.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. Mr. David Schultz?
It's all right.
Good morning.
Good morning, David.
Thank you for allowing me to speak here today. Again, I would like to emphasize the importance that Arsenal Road now plays in the ability of the intermodal facilities here in Will County. I realize that with the closing of Walter Strawn, this has placed a heavy burden upon the county. And I appreciate the fact that the county has stepped up and helped the businesses find an alternative until a permanent resolution can be found. I would ask that the board continue the permit that is currently in place for the additional 60 days or longer if possible until that final resolution is available. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Next up, we have Mr. Randy Thomas.
No.
Good morning. I'm Randy Thomas with the Illinois Trucking Association. I'd like to simply reiterate the comments that were previously made by two of our members, and I believe we have some other people who will be willing to speak to that too. We're looking at the the country's largest inland port in these intermodal facilities. The amount of commerce that comes in and out of there is tantamount to keeping business going, both inbound and outbound. So we also would like to make sure that this permitting continues. Further discussions continue with IDOT for anything that can be made a good, safe resolution for the trucking industry and for the people of this area. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Randy. Next, it's Ramona Inabe, I'm sorry.
Morning, my name is Ramona Inabe with Inabe Logistics, Inc. We are a small trucking company that is working. We just opened an office in Wilmington, and, you know, a lot of things have changed, obviously, with the closing of Walter Strong Drive. First of all, I want to thank you for your previous meeting that I attended to offer the 90-day temporary permit. It was actually very helpful. It's just unfortunate that we were forced to go through that, but I also appreciate that you're taking the time to do another extension for, you know, an extension of 60 days. This permit has helped us a lot for us to continue our business. Without this, overweight is what we do. That is our daily in and out, and without having access to overweight roads, it would be difficult. We've looked into other options as well as Laraway Road, but again, that falls into Joliet, and it makes it a little difficult with their restrictions on that road as well. So we're kind of limited in what we can do, therefore resulting in only Arsenal Road. Having Arsenal Road is great. The permit, as mentioned by the other company, was that the permits expire on May 23. We ordered permits in advance so that we can continue working, but those permits were only allowed to be weekly, daily, or even monthly. Example, if we order a permit on May 7, it would expire on May 23 because that is as far as the permit was allowed for the Will County Division of Transportation. They were not aware of any extension until recently that it was a possibility, but it makes it difficult for trucking companies to have to go to the Division of Transportation to request these and not to have any information if it'll be extended. I do ask that you approve the 60-day extension, but I also ask that if we can have a future meeting maybe a little more in advance, not a few days before the expiration, so that we can request another extension if needed, so that we're not forced to be scrambling around in circles wondering what's going to happen with our permits. In this case, you know, I know he said that we would be able to extend them to what their length would be, but example, I had a permit expire on the 13th, I had to renew it, and I had a choice to either spend $250 per week, which is $500 for 2 weeks, which expires on the 23rd, or to get 1 week and 3 days. So obviously I chose the lesser expensive, but at the same time I think there's also some question that I would have about the expense of this permit. For 1 week of $250, if you order for 2 weeks, it's the same price of a full permit of $500. I would hope that in the future, past the 60-day extension, that perhaps the fees could be reevaluated. So that way it would be more fair. Or if the permits were going to be forced to expire in the 60 days, that we have some kind of a prorated option depending on when the trucks are expiring. Because as a trucking company, we don't know when we're going to add on trucks or remove trucks, and unfortunately, those permits, we don't know when we're going to need them, but we know we need them on a daily basis as we get new trucks. So I want to thank you for the 60-day option. If you guys can contact Elwood also, I'm going to do my part. I was kind of hoping that, you know, the 90 days would pass and Walter Strong would open, but it didn't. So now I think it's time with the 60 days that you're hopefully granting that we can reach out to Joliet for Laraway Road or even Elwood to get Walter Strong back. So that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One last speaker, Matt Sibowitz.
Good morning. I'm Matt Sibowitz with Bar Freight System in Bolingbrook, Illinois. We are a container freight station, a customs bonded container freight station, and a trucking company. And we pull overweight containers out of the LPC and the UP Global 4 facility in Joliet, Illinois. Everybody knows what happened with Elwood. We were involved with meetings with them, and when it was suddenly closed, I was at an IDOT meeting that everyone seemed to be surprised that there were actually overweight containers that came out of the rail facilities. So we're grateful that you guys gave us a lifeboat for 90 days, and we hope you'll support us for at least another 60 days, because the bottom line is our customers will not be patient. Their business is mobile. They can move it to the Canadian National facility in Harvey, Illinois. They can move it to the UP Global 2 in North Lake, Illinois, or they can move it to CP Schiller Park. So they do have options, and a lot of our customers are heavyweight shippers who ship plywood and fasteners. So they're simply losing patience with the uncertainty whether to bring the containers into that facility in Elwood or Joliet. And they pretty much told us that they're going to move it to the other facility because their business model is based on weight. If they put less weight in the container, they cannot be profitable. So we appreciate your support, and we hope you'll pass, at least for another 60 days and find a permanent solution, because Arsenal Road seems the obvious choice because of the industry that's on it. There's no residential. It's a direct route to 55. And I guess I'm here to make sure that it is going to be both directions, that it's not just going to be eastbound or westbound or north or south in the facility. So does anyone have the answer to that?
Yep.
There's no restriction
both.
Okay, very good.
on
It's both.
in or out. I mean, you
Yeah.
gotta, if you have to have an overweight to get something
You
out.
can go in or out.
Okay, very good. I just wanted to clarify that it was the same as the previous
Yes.
permits. That's
Yes.
all. Okay.
Yes.
Very good. And-
Everything's set.
All right, thank you very much for the time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that wishes to speak on this issue? Anyone else? Mr. Mustis?
Thank you, Mr. Executive. I'm going to kind of address, maybe since there's so many number of industry folks here today, I'm going to address you a little bit, I think, in my public comment here today. First, Will County has been extremely supportive of the industry, logistics. We've been extremely supportive of the intermodals. Even though those intermodals don't reside in unincorporated Will County. They reside in the city of Joliet and the village of Elwood. I personally think that, they've done, either they have made the situation worse, or they certainly haven't been very helpful in solutions. But all of Illinois, including these roads, were built to 80,000-pound standards. And I understand to get your profit margins that you maybe need heavier weights. As far as I know, basically the whole state of Illinois is 80,000 pounds, and I'm not aware of any Illinois roads that are built to these 95,000 or 100,000-pound standards. Not that I'm aware of. So no matter what road, I assume no matter what road you go on in Illinois, you're going to need some kind of permitting. But the industry needs to come up with solutions also. And part of that may be you need to look at different equipment. You need to see how you're going to redistribute axle weights, how you're going to control bounce of these trailers. You cannot expect the taxpaying public, or I might say, or permit fees that are really going to maintain roads. It would be go into funds for that purpose to rebuild roads. The intermodal is not that old. Arsenal Road was redone not that many years ago to an 80,000-pound standard built by the state of Illinois and Centerpoint. I get the feeling when I get calls from the industry that somehow now you feel it's a right or the norm for you to run overweight trucks. Overweight truck permitting was the exception. Now it's becoming the norm. Our roads cannot handle this long term. And so we need either solutions in how the industry starts looking at equipment to lessen that impact on the roads. because the long-term solution is just not Will County issuing you permits. Will County cannot provide the long-term solution. We are working with the state of Illinois. County executive has been in pretty constant negotiations with IDOT on this matter. And all it's really done would, we could shift it from one jurisdiction to another. So it's no longer our problem, it becomes somebody else's problem. But unless we find a revenue source to rebuild roads to these new weight standards that the industry seems to think should be the norm, or we have to find revenue sources that come from the industry to rebuild the roads to the standards you'd like to see. So I would say to the industry that you need to come to the table and with additional solutions, and the solution just not being give us permits. You need to be part of the solution. We can extend this for 60 days. We can extend this for 120 days, but it can't go on forever. So I guess that's the comment I'd like to make, that, we need long-term solutions, and the industry needs to be part of the problem solving. And pointing out that it's not your right to run heavier trucks. It's a privilege or a permitted use. But our roads won't handle these, long-term will not handle these heavy trucks. And the permit fee does not pay for any maintenance on those roads. So that's it.
Thank you,
Mr. Executive.
Mr. Howard?
Yeah, I'd like to expand on what Mr. Mooses was actually talking about on this, because actually I had a discussion with some residents in Eastern Will County this morning. Basically, that means roads. The county means roads to us. And what's happening is because of these permit fees, which are great, but they're not going to be enough to actually pay for the replacement and the maintenance of the roads. So we're going to see a shortage, I believe, in a relatively short amount of time, of money to actually work on our roads, to actually maintain our roads, to actually build the roads that are actually required for these trucks, because we're accelerating the wear and tear on the roads out there right now. And we're accelerating the use of the money appropriated for the roads. And as cars become more efficient, and trucks and that type of stuff, we're actually diminishing the revenue source that we're actually going to receive on it, whether it's a tax on the motor fuel tax or anything like that. So I think that we very, very, very careful in the future what we actually do, because we do not, we have to address this issue, because again, in Eastern Will County, the county means roads to us. And we want safe roads, we want roads large enough to actually take care of the traffic that's out there. And we have way too many fatalities right now on the roads here, caused by the overuse of roads and the large trucks on the roads, that type of thing there too. So again, I have to agree with Mr. Moose's point here. I mean, we're actually going to run out of funding for the roads eventually due to the accelerated wear and tear on the roads. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. Mr. Gould?
Mr. Executive, it's been said, and it should be repeated, that, our existing network of roads here in Will County, frankly, was not designed to accommodate the volume of truck traffic that we're experiencing. And when Walter Strawn Drive closed, it put a burden on the county, even though, those are annexed into municipalities. But I think, I commend you for your meetings with the state and what you're trying to do, and I think that's a big part of the solution. But we really need more than what's existing. We need new roads to accommodate these, and the reason we do is because there's so much land that's yet not even been developed. It's in the planning stages in Joliet, and we're going to need new roads to accommodate that. And if it means a bridge, that's part of the solution too. But it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of effort, because what we have right now, some of these things, Mr. Moose, is $73,280. I mean, it was not designed to accommodate the volume of what we're dealing with right now.
Thank you for your comments. Good. Anyone else in the public hearing? Anyone else wants to comment? Yes? Okay, briefly.
I just wanted to reply on behalf of Mr. Musis that I do understand where you're coming from, that the industry needs a solution, but I want to draw to your attention that, you know, even though we've chosen to run in an industry as a trucking company as overweight, it is something that we've seen as a grander than just the county. I mean, exports internationally, there is a high demand. We have new customers that are demanding more overweight, that they say that is where the future is going, that they want to see overweight. For me personally, as a trucking company, we'd prefer less weight just because it's less fuel and, you know, better on our trucks. But at the same time, that is the industry that we're in. And for the grain particularly, it just seems like we don't have a choice, you know, on our side. We don't have a problem paying with the permits. We pay for Elwood. We pay for, you know, Will County. You know, I made a comment about how the fees are allocated just so that it would be dispersed a little better. But as a trucking company, we understand the need to pay for those roads. So we do accept that there has to be some kind of a fee, and it's unfortunate if, you know, the aggression of trucking to be overweight, if it's going to continue this way, it's clear now that overweight is a part of what we're doing every day, and it is going to increase. But, you know, the 60-day is going to help, at least so that we can continue to look for a solution. But building a bridge is going to take a really long time. It's not going to be done in 60 days. So, you know, we use Arsenal, like they said earlier, that it's a non-residential road, which is why it makes it preferable. We were fine in trucking before with Walter Strawn Drive. It's just unfortunate that Elwood decided that that's not going to be accessible anymore. But to say for the industry to find a solution, it's kind of hard because right now where the economy wants to go with exports and doing our international business, we don't have a choice. They want a certain weight or they're not going to pay. If they pay us less as trucking for less weight, we're going to lose the business that's inside of Will County. They're going to start going to CSX in Bedford Park or CN Harvey or, you know, or CN Joliet, and it loses all of the economy that is brought to, you know, BNSF, LPC, or even G4 Global Logistics. So these permits, if there's a way to make them, you know, or even get Elwood into it, have Elwood stop charging us for that little baseline road so that we can pay more for Will County, so be it. Whatever it takes to get the business to continue. We don't want to see exports in the United States change in this little county because Elwood and Joliet can't come to an agreement.
Can I ask you one question? And it deals more with, and I'm certainly the furthest thing from being even, I would say, knowledgeable, but, you know, I do get comments from folks about technologies and equipment and how we can do redistribution out of axle weight, therefore not putting all that weight on the road, and that bounces is does considerable wear and tear to roads. So can I talk to you about the industry in the direction you're going to replace equipment, to lessen the axle weight, to lessen bounce? I know anytime you're converting to new perhaps technologies or equipment, there's a time frame that's there. But could that be part of the solution, that the industry is going to have to redesign equipment?
I would say triaxles would have to be something more. If you notice, a lot of the chassis will have just 2 axles as opposed to the triaxle. Triaxle is obviously a better disbursement. However, unfortunately, somehow in the chassis industry, at BNSF, they just don't have triaxles. Every time I try to send my drivers for them, there's very few to none. Even at, there's a track facility in Con Global that we get emails regularly that says, okay, this is how many triaxles we have. 3? We're moving tons of boxes. You can see the traffic that goes down Arsenal Road. We're moving so many containers that 3 chassis is not going to do it for us. We need to have more chassis that are triaxle, or even, you know, if BNSF were to become a part of it, they could possibly offer more of those chassis. But the chassis industry has really changed in the past year with their chassis fees that we're having to pay per chassis that we use, but they're all 2-axle. That's it. As far as our trucks, it seems like the full-size sleepers are heavier, obviously, with the trucks, but we could do day cabs or even a lesser-sized truck, but at the same time, that's having to change the trucks that we have and purchase new trucks. So on our part, that would be a huge financial difference compared to having to permit each truck.
But replacing roads is a huge financial
Yes.
commitment to the taxpayer.
That's why we like that,
So-
I like to hear that you're having state meetings, because I think the state really should take over Arsenal and, or at least assist in budgeting, because the intermodal industry is so important to, our economy, and to not be able to have access to it, it makes the facility useless,
Okay,
Thank you.
Mr. Tumanello?
Thank you for all your hard work on this issue as well, Mr. Executive. But when I look at the entire intermodal system, and I look at what is being created, the jobs that are being created, the revenues that are being created, I look at it as an entire region. I don't look at it as Will County. And it looks to me that a lot of individuals, maybe outside of Will County, may just be thinking it's a Will County issue. This is an economic engine for not only our entire county, but for the region, for the state of Illinois, and multiple states. We feed into so many different areas that I believe that the state and the federal government should be able to help step in and give us some direction and offer us some support. It's very difficult when you're looking at our budget and we're trying to make the decisions, and that we're issuing the overweight permits to help them out, but everybody around us in the surrounding counties, surrounding states are benefiting from this, and I believe there should be a solution of a much bigger proposal that comes from Washington.
Well, thank you for your comments. Will County is involved in ongoing discussions with our neighbors in the multi-region trying to come up with a unified overweight permit that would be one permit handles all, and but it's very difficult when you start talking about somebody's territory and says, I'm not giving up my right to charge for overweights. So we are continuing those discussions on a regional Cook County and Collier County, all northeastern Illinois, in the Chicago basis. So hopefully we might come up with a solution on that. So, because I think overweight trucks, as she says, as Ramona says, is definitely going to be an issue for the future. And when we see Burlington Northern Santa Fe, who's the last year or two have made over 1 million lifts at their intermodal, and they are anticipating of over the next 5 years of tripling that, or maybe even quadrupling that. We're talking about one huge amount of traffic. So there's where we stand. But as Mr. Mustis says, we just can't be, we play basically no role in the intermodals, the Elwood intermodal and the Joliet intermodal, and those two municipalities, and they need to basically, we all need to sit down and come up with a solution that handles this, because we just can't have a set of roads that we are in charge of that are going to allow them the weights to go down in order to do that and get the product in and out, But as Jim and I talked when we first did this, 3 months ago, we felt that we had an obligation as Will County to make sure that business ran as normal, and that the stakeholders in the intermodals needed to be, taken care of. Now, if we don't see some maybe more positive support coming from somebody, maybe what happens if we back off and put that road back to 80,000 and no permits, whatever, that you'll see a ghost town out there, So, thanks for the comments, Ray. Mr. Mayor?
And I think, almost everything else has been said here, but the one thing that I think that we've been hearing a lot about margins and business making margins and the economic engine that it brings to the county. When you start taking a look at that economic engine and the cost to the taxpayers, I wonder what the equitable of that is. When you talk about the millions of dollars it costs to actually just repair a road. So I mean, taking a look at those numbers, and if the industry wants to get in to help support that kind of balance, you know, let's get together and put our heads together and figure out how we can get this done.
It was a good idea. Get a hold of all the trucking companies.
And it might take that.
Definitely would. Mr. Mustis?
The only other comment I would like to make is, Mr. Gould made this comment, but it's about new and additional infrastructure to support the intermodals. You know, now we have talked about the Hobart Bridge, even though it would be a toll bridge. You know, I would like to see the industry, you know, take a really hard look at that. It would probably be done with private sector money, but it needs the industry saying, yeah, we'll use it and we'll pay the toll as an alternative to getting permits and for us an alternative to spending hundreds of millions of dollars reconstructing roads. So I would also like the industry's input on Hobart Bridge and perhaps whether you'd have long-term support for that. So I just felt I should throw that out, Mr. Executive, because it is something that's out there, and I would like to see the industry perhaps get involved. So.
Okay. Thank you for comments.
Thank you.
Any last comments on this issue? Okay, Randy. This is the end.
Oh, maybe 12:30 now. 11:45. Totally blown. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your comments. Again, Randy Thomas, Illinois Trucking Association. One of the things that we are definitely concerned about the infrastructure, there's no doubt about it. And the Illinois Trucking Association and our members support a motor fuel tax so long as that tax goes to the road fund. It cannot go to the general revenue fund. So long as it is to build roads, we're fine with that. It is also our understanding that Arsenal Road, initially when it was built to higher specs than 80. So I'd like to reserve comment on that and see if we can't get that verified. We have comments from IDOT that it was built to stronger than that.
Bruce would know.
Did you
Even
build it,
though
Bruce?
they paid to build it, Bruce, the county managed the project, so.
When the Center Boyd Intermodal came in, the Elwood one, and all the discussions with IDOT concerning the intermodal and the reconstruction of Baseline Road and Strawn Drive. And New Strawn Drive was a new road, new crossing on the railroad, and Arsenal Road. There was discussion 80,000 pound design. There was never any discussion, and I was on it from the onset, there was never any discussion of running overweights on that road until the industry started asking for higher weights and heavier loads. It was not designed, and there was no discussion on it. Because if in fact it was, and there were discussions for 92 or 95 or 100,000, then it could have been designed appropriately, and then there would not have been an overweight issue on that road.
Understood.
So,
But please understand, it's the shippers and the consignees in this worldwide that are telling us what their needs are. So we're just trying to fulfill those needs.
We understand that.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. You got a question for?
Consignees. You have a shipper, and then you have the end user, the consignee, who it goes to.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay, now I understand, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Mustis, a motion to come out of,
I'll make a motion to come out of
you got something? you
public
got-
hearing. I'm sorry,
Mr. Mayor, do you have a comment?
Was up here. Is there a way that your association could facilitate the conversation and get the trucking industry in Centerpoint and all those folks together to help come up with a solution? We know what it costs us to build roads. We know that the permitting is not the solution here. So, and as my colleagues have pointed out, there has to be a group discussion across both sides to make this happen. So if your association could help facilitate that because you have all the members, I think that would be a help.
Yeah, the CED does have a recently formed freight committee. Is that what they call it? Freight committee?
Yeah.
Freight committee, that they do have stakeholders on, but at our last CED meeting, I did request that perhaps they start holding meetings and bring the stakeholders together for discussion, and certainly I would hope that the trucking industry would be part of that, talking about not only needs, but solutions.
Yeah.
So,
Great,
Okay.
thank you.
Mr. Mustis.
well, I made the motion to come out of public
Okay,
hearing. Second.
motion made, and second by Mr. Mayor. Madam Clerk, that we come out of public hearing. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Mayor?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Howard? Ogala? Singer? Moran? Rice? Harris? Trainier? Benefield? Fritz? Freitag? Gould? Balich? Frizalone? Winfrey? Parker? Staley Ferry? Babbage? Wilhelmie? Hart? Tumanello? Weigel? Collins? Ferry? And Eustace.
Yes.
Thank you.
25 affirmative.
25 affirmative, the public hearing has been closed. Continue,
Okay.
Mr. Mustis.
Resolution 15156, extension of the temporary overweight truck permits on Manhattan Arsenal Road near intermodal facilities. I so move.
Moved by Mr.
God
Mustis,
bless you.
second by Mr. Mayor. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll call by Mr. Moran, second by Ms. Winfrey. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
This next public hearing, I don't think will take quite as long, so I will make a motion to go into public hearing, setting parameters for fees for alternate extra jurors.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Brooks. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Sure. Mayor?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Howard? Singer? Moran? Rice? Harris? Trainier? Benefield? Fritz? Freitag? Gould? Balich? Frizalone? Winfrey? Parker? Staley Ferry? Babbage? Wilhelmie? Hart? Tumanello? Weigel? Collins? Ferry? And Eustace.
Yes.
Thank you.
25 affirmative.
25 affirmative, we are in public hearing. Nobody has signed up for speaking. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on this issue, setting of parameters for fees for alternative and extra jurors? Anyone wishing to speak? Anyone of the general public wishing to speak on this issue?
Mr. Executive, I'll make a motion to come out of public hearing.
Moved by Mr. Mussis, second by Mr. Tumanello. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Sure. Mayor?
Yes.
Brooks? Howard? Singer? Moran? Rice? Harris? Trainier? Benefield? Fritz? Freitag? Gould? Balich? Frizalone? Winfrey? Parker? Staley Ferry? Babbage? Wilhelmie? Hart? Tumanello? Weigel? Collins? Ferry? And Eustace.
Yes.
Thank you.
25 affirmative.
25 affirmative, public hearing has closed. Mr. Mustis, please continue.
Next, we have Resolution 1557, setting Will County court fees for alternate jurors. I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Brooks. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll call by Ms. Trainier, second by Mr. Gould. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Next, we have Resolution 1558, adopting Chapter 78 administrative towing fee. I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Frizalone. Any questions? Previous roll call by Mr. Tumanello, second by Ms. Freitag. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried. What-
Yes. Sure.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Darren.
Next, I have Resolution 15159, amending Chapter 110 alcohol beverages of the Will County Code of Ordinances. I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Tumanello. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Wilhelmie, second by Mr. Ferry. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, Mr. Benefield, would you like to be a yes?
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion is carried.
Resolution 15160, authorizing a professional service agreement with Patrick Engineering, Inc. to perform a review of the siting application for a second Laraway landfill expansion. I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Babbage, second by Mr. Wilhelmie. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 15-161, declaring sheriff seized vehicles surplus and authorizing disposal. I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Howard. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Parker, second by Ms. Collins. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Ordinance 15-162, authorizing an amended Title VI policy due to RTA directives, and I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Ferry. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Tumanello, second by Mr. Balich. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 15-163, authorizing extension of Section 5310 Technical Service Agreement with the RTA, and I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Brooks. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Staley Ferry, second by Mr. Grenier. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 15-164, new hires for ICT Department. I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Fritz. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 15-165, replacement hires for Records Management Department. I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Ferry. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Parker, second by Ms. Hart. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
166, replacement hires in the Supervisor Assessment's Office. I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Benefield. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Moran, second by Mr. Harris. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Next, 15-167, replacement hires for Sunny Hill. I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Musa, second by Mr. Mayor, second by, any discussion? Previous roll by Ms. Fritz, second by Mr. Tumanello. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Our next Executive Committee meeting will be on June 4th at 10 a.m. Next, I'll move to approve the appointments by the County Executive.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Moran. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Brooks, second by Ms. Winfrey. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Mr. Executive, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mustis. At this time, there's time for public input. Anybody wish to, from the public, make a comment? Anybody from the public that wishes to make a comment on activities today? Seeing none, announcements by the Republican Caucus Chair, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Executive. You know, today we gave out an award for heroism to Pete, and it's just a reminder to the media and to all our citizens how our police and sheriffs do such a fabulous job protecting and serving our citizens. And I think these are the kind of things that really need to be celebrated, as well as any time that one individual had a problem. So I really want to make sure that the media, you guys really need to get out and shout that out, that we have a lot of heroes, not just Pete here, working every day with our Will County sheriffs and all our municipal police and throughout Will County. The next thing is the Sunny Hill Nursing Home. What a great facility. My family and I had an opportunity, like I know several of our county board members, to go out and scoop ice cream. Mr. Executive, I think you were there. You know, when you get that opportunity to go see this facility and the folks that live there, we recently lost my mother-in-law, as many of you know, and she was at a private facility that I don't think was up to snuff with what Sunny Hill has to offer. And too often, our public facilities get such a bad rap. This is a great place, and just appreciate all the hard work that the staff and stuff do at Sunny Hill. And the last thing, the Hawks. Stamina, hard work, and a long night will get things done. And so hopefully they can get it done a little bit quicker in their home facility tonight so that we all don't have to stay up so late for Friday. And it'd been nicer if it was a Friday evening rather than a Thursday, but good luck with the Hawks as they go forward in winning the Stanley Cup here.
Thank you. Thank you, Chuck. Next, our Democratic Caucus Chair, Mr. Brooks.
Good morning. Yeah, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Two things that the caucus chairperson, Mayor, I think he looked at my notes over here. But I, too, want to recognize Peter V. this morning. This morning, when I was watching the news, I saw YouTube went viral all over the country. A Chicago policeman was sleeping in an automobile, and someone took the time to take a snapshot of that. But the mayor said that's a very small percentage because there's a whole lot of Chicago policemen that do a very good job. And unfortunately, we don't put that on YouTube. And I think we did that on today, and I hope Nate and I hope you all got that today, Grant, because I think what our officer did in our Will County building was just an exceptional job. I'll be with Mike Kelly and the officers on tonight because I think that they deserve that recognition. So I certainly want to thank you all for that. And also, Reagan mentioned the Relay for Life tonight. I know her and Lauren will be bartending, and I want you to know, Reagan, that that dollar was from an anonymous donor by the name Don Moran.
Big spender.
Yeah, and she got it. And then also, Sunny Hill Nursing Home, I want to comment on that too because Julia Gala held our committee meeting over there last week. And what a wonderful facility. We had a great lunch there, and those that were there, we had a fantastic time, did another tour there as well. And then lastly, Monday is a holiday, Memorial Day. Normally I tell our church don't drink and drive, but I tell them, I want to tell this body, don't drink at all. God bless you. Have a wonderful holiday.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor Brooks. Next, we move on to the speaker, Mr. Mustis.
Well, we're still in the morning. Good morning, Mr. Executive, County Board. You know, first I want to start out by thanking the County Board staff for all their hard work all month. I'd like to thank all the County Board members for their commitment for the past month and all their hard work. I'm going to try to really make this short. I want to congratulate first, not the Hawks, but the fans that actually stayed up to watch the end of the game. They're the ones who deserve some applause. I would also like to mention that Sheriff Kelly mentioned that they're going to have a recognition dinner. I'm not going to be able to attend, but congratulations to all those officers who've gone above and beyond in their service and are going to be recognized at their banquet. I like to wish them congratulations. Now, I have to tell you, I have nodded off at my desk. Thank God nobody took a picture, huh? So we all can nod off occasionally, you know. It was after the Hawk game, after all. So everyone have a Memorial Day is always a special day. You know, the men and women who've sacrificed for this country goes beyond any gratitude that I can give, and I'm sure that most of us can give. Memorial Day is a day to remember those folks who've given up the ultimate price. You know, it's when you see the World War II vets now passing, the Korean vets passing, and when you think about 600,000 military personnel perished in World War II alone, 56,000 in the Vietnam War. Of course, we don't take as much casualties as we once did because it's done much more tactically. Warfare seems to be a little more long range. But we've lost an awful lot of good people. You know, I once read I'm a little bit of a Civil War buff. I'm an American history buff. So I once was reading a book on the Civil War, and the person said the saddest thing about the Civil War is that the people who die are really true leaders. They're young people who are really have potential to be the greatest of leaders, but yet they perish. And you do wonder, with their leadership, where would we have been? Where would we be going? So, so let's everybody just take a moment on Monday and say a little prayer for all those folks and a little appreciation. That's it, Mr. Executive.
Thank you very much,
Okay,
everybody.
thanks.
And just to reiterate, I appreciate Mr. Brooks and Mr. Muses' comments on Memorial Day. A lot of municipalities are and American Legions and Cantigny Posts and all of them are having services or having a program. If you can take time to be at one of them, I know I've been invited to speak in, at Braidwood's on Monday morning, so if everybody had opportunity, try and make something to recognize our veterans on this Memorial Day. They very much deserve the attention. So with that, we'll stand at recess till the third Thursday of the month of June. We'll be in the middle of summer by then,
We don't have a whole
hopefully.
lot going on tomorrow, so you can